Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. And as you know, I'm currently away, right? It's the first time I've had some time off from content creating for a very long time now. And I can't lie, my head's been burnt out about what to do while I'm away. I'm going to miss everything. So, do you know what? I contacted the two. What I would say is, like, in terms of content creation, my two confidants, yeah? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of an analogy I could use now. The three musketeers, if you like. I don't know what. I think one of them's called D'Artagnan, maybe something like that. That's one of the musketeers. I don't know who the others are. So yeah, Andrea could be D'Artagnan. I don't know the other two names, but basically, I asked these two if they would help me out over the next couple of days while I'm away. So there will be a series of live streams coming to you over the next few days, looking at the current state of the squad. What do we need moving forward? What positions do we need? What must Farke change? All this sort of stuff. But before we do that, the first one we're going to do is go back and have a look at how we rated Daniel Farke's signings post the transfer window shutting. So around about this time last year, just after, around about July last year, we rated that transfer window. I've taken a note of the ratings we gave. We're going to revisit that and see if them, ratings still stand, because I'm pretty certain a few of them won't. So, without further ado, then let's welcome the boys in. We've got D'Artagnan, and I don't know the other musketeer's name. Is it D'Artagnan, Andrea? I've seen you laughing your way.
It's D'Artagnan. D'Artagnan.
I was thinking like your small council, Joe. Game of Thrones or something.
Love that. Yeah, that's better.
D'Artagnan, you're D'Artagnan, Joe. D'Artagnan is the leader, and the three musketeers are Athos, Porthos, and Aramis.
There you go. Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. What's that one called in Game of Thrones, man? The eunuch with the bald head. What's he called now? Varys? Varys?
Oh, Varys.
Varys, yeah. You don't know Game of Thrones?
I still have to watch it, lads. Still have to. Yeah.
You need to watch it.
I'm watching Snowpiercer now, and then after that, I'll be watching Game of Thrones, because it's a long time coming, but I'm not finding the time. I'm still watching not shorter series, because I know that it'll be a long one, so that's why I'm avoiding it so far.
Well worth it though. Well worth it when you do. 100%. Right, boys. So first one we're gonna do is go back and have a look at our ratings of the transfer window post August. At the start of last season. Now, just to give you a sort of idea, overall, we rated it individually, which we'll go through, but we rated it overall as well. We all agreed on the same score. That included Jer, who was also involved in the video as well. What do you think we rated it? Does any of us have an idea?
Was it an 8, probably?
Yeah, it was. It was a big 8. Would you still stand by that now, having gone through the season and seen some of the performances or lack of?
Personally, no. I think I'll lower it, honestly.
Slightly.
I'll lower it.
Yeah. Slightly. But I think it was difficult. We have to put context, obviously, this summer. We couldn't bring in 5 or 6 more players. There's probably no more time. But I'd say around 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. Let's have a look at let's go through some individuals within that setup then. So Karl Darlow. Yeah. Does anyone want to take a stab on how we rated him?
7, was it? Probably.
No.
Lower?
No.
Lower.
Yeah. We did all right. 5.
5.
Overall, we rated him a 5, which, that was quite decent, actually, when you consider it, because what's he had, about 3 appearances? I think it's about 3, isn't it? So, not many at all. Probably 2, maybe 2.
No, it's 4,
4 appearances with about 15 goals conceded. I think we got that right? And we were speaking just the other day about the retained list and stuff. The retained list from Leeds United might actually be out by the time this comes out. But Andrea, just to get your thoughts on it, I think Darlow's probably the only keeper we're certain will stay. That's what we said last night when we did the squad review, our return list, because we think Klassen may go, and obviously Meslier could be sold. Do you agree with that, Andrea, as a second choice? Just keep him about?
Yeah, I agree totally, because, he's 33 years of age, so at this point in his career, honestly, when he signed, I think everyone was resigned to the fact that Meslier was leaving.
Yeah.
Because remember that during around the first times we talked, and I came into the scene. Fortunately, there was rumors about Meslier. That interview about Chelsea saying, yeah, if Chelsea arrives, I will be happy to sign for them. So there were, of course, rumors after his bad season in the Premier League that he will leave. So everyone thought that Darlow was going to be the number one, because he was the number one towards the second part of the season when he was on loan at Hull City from Newcastle. So honestly, I was happy when he signed, because I thought he was a very experienced goalkeeper. He did well in the Premier League too with Newcastle. And the fact I think he has readapted very well for me, because he never caused a fuss. It's not easy to readapt for the fact that you sign in to be the number one, then you switch to be the number two, because the number one is staying at the end. After the transfer window. But 33 years of age, being from the north to now, from around about 10 years now with Newcastle and Forest and all of that, I think he'll be staying for sure and be the perfect second choice for me, because I think people write him off very, very harshly, especially after the Salford game in the League Cup.
Because he did have a good season at Hull the season before. They still wanted him,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
had an injury too with his hand too for a
that was unfortunate timing, wasn't it?
Yeah, massively. Right, moving on. Right, we're going. I want to mix it up actually, because this is in sort of numerical order, so I need to mix it up because you'll know what's coming. Joel Piroe will do next, right? Joel Piroe had a bit of. He's almost a bit like an enigma. I did watch a few clips, and JUSTJOE said from the jump wouldn't quite fit the system, but ultimately was a 9, and we needed a goal scorer, and he was that. Yeah, he was that. So, what do we think we rated him, lads?
I think we edged higher just because of that championship history that he has got. I'm going to say, did we go an 8.5? Is there a half in this, or is it just?
No, it was just. Yeah,
I think we went 9 then.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be lower. Honestly, I'm gonna stay lower. 7. Was it 7?
We went in the middle. We went 8. I think us three had rated him an 8, and Jed did 7.5, so we bumped it up to an 8. So, yeah, we rated it an 8. And look, if we're being honest, he scored a hell of a lot of goals this season, but structurally, and how we set up and how he looked in that system, he wasn't great, was he? So, would you still stand by an 8? I'm thinking not, right?
No, I think it is tough because he has scored a lot of goals, and you take them away, and, it's 15 less goals in your tally. That's a lot. So it's tough, isn't it? But you have to look at a team, and I've been saying this for every player that comes in. They have to fit the system. I know it's a boring rhetoric, but it's football in 2024. It's system-based. It all is. So you have to, and he doesn't, or he hasn't been able to adapt his game kind of enough yet to do that. I think every player can adapt the game slightly to fit some sort of system. No one's perfect, obviously, but and other players will fit it better than he will. But I don't think he's done that enough this season. Yeah, he's got the goal scoring side of it, and we all knew that. I'm sure we all mentioned that. That's why we signed him. But yeah, he has struggled. He has struggled for me everywhere else around the pitch in terms of build-up, progressing the ball forward. He has struggled, yeah.
You two deserve flowers for that, because all the way out through, I remember listening to Leeds that once on a dog walk as well, and Rocco was talking about Piroe, and he went, to be fair to Andrea and Lockie, who were on Joe's show, they both did say that, and I remember walking the dog thinking, yes, the boys. But yeah, do you agree with what Lockie's just said there? He needs to come down, really, Andrea, just because of the system, really?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree with Lockie here. Honestly, I think when it comes to finishing, he is a finisher. If he has a good ball inside the box, he'll score. But also had bad opportunities throughout the season. To put some more context into it, I think everyone thought we signed him to be the number 9, but at the start of the season we were playing with Rodon in the 9 and him playing in the 10, going back almost to midfield, to the center, to the halfway line, to get the ball. But he didn't have the pace to to match the pace of the other forwards, when we were pushing forward. So I think he wasn't a number 10. It was like a rhetoric, going on around those days of saying, I was saying it's not a number 10, it's not a number 10, but it seemed that Falke put that to sleep, that discussion to sleep when he did that press conference, and he told the journalists, that I know how to develop players, I know how to develop strikers, and that's why. But in the end, we switched, and Rotter became the 10 and Piroe the 9, but he was not the typical 9 for Falke's system, and that's what we said at the start of the season, because we look at Ram, we look at Pukki, at Norwich, and there were different players. They were very pacey, they were maybe less structured physically, but more versatile in terms of the areas they could cover, the running behinds, the stretching, the depth they could create. So Piroe is a good finisher. He proved it at championship level yet again after those seasons at Swansea. This season he scored, but if you look structurally, as Lucky said, I think he was the player that struggled the most to have an impact on the structure. Maybe he scored goals, but if you look at the whole games, apart from the goals, in many of those games, he struggled to have an impact, to be involved in the build-up and to be involved in the football that we want to play. So he scored goals despite the system, because if you look at all of those, the majority, apart from one, I think, are all inside the box, and not many are created via an individual action, maybe a 1v1, try to get to the defender and then move the ball and shoot. All of them are finishes. Like, do you remember Ivan Toney when he was at Bramford in the championship? Many of the goals he scored were finishes. There's like a compilation of the 30 goals he scored at Bramford, and many of them are just in the box,
tap-ins.
Passes, tap-ins, and all of that. So, yeah, I think he should be lower, honestly. Very lower. Yeah. I'm not giving him an insufficient mark because of the goals, but if you look at the whole structure, I think it's insufficient. On the goals he scored, of course, it's divided, because he scored despite him not fitting the system, despite him not helping the team in the build-up and being dangerous, throughout the whole game and active throughout the whole game, but passive.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Lockie, do you ever think we'll see next season Piroe play as well as he did against Norwich in that second leg? Like, why was it so good? Was it because Norwich were just shit? But come on, they finished 6th, so they can't be that bad. But we only seen him play well in that one game, and
I think he was all right against Ipswich as well. The first one, I believe. He was quite good in that one.
I think he was all right away at Millwall as well, maybe.
Was it
when we won 3-0? Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
For me, I think there's a middle ground there. I think that Norwich performance was one performance where everyone stepped up. So that was clearly a squad mentality thing going in that game. Everyone played the best they could. And I don't think it's fair. Well, fair, but I don't think anyone will play that well at every game next season, if that makes sense. But I think there is a middle ground. I think there is a way he could be better. Maybe not to the level of Norwich, but maybe not down to the level that he's been most this season. I think there's a middle ground there but this goes down for me, down to how hard he works in the summer to try and find a way to adapt to this system. And I think there's another side of it as well. And I think that's confidence. And if you think about when he was at Swansea, he was the main man. He was the man there. He was Joe Piroe. He was the biggest player. Everyone loved him, He's come to Leeds and he's not. He's just part of it. He's one of the players. Especially with people that have come down from the Premier League, Somerville, Nanto, for example, even Ampadu, player like that caliber. So I think it's kind of adjusting your responsibility and your role in a team. Maybe he's felt a bit more pressure at Leeds United, given the goals we have. Because for me, other things like his touch and all that has been worse than it was at Swansea. And that's something that you can get better at. Obviously, there is a higher ceiling for that. So if he fixes up those things, I think there's a few positional things he needs to work on. If he's not as quick and we need him to be quicker, basically that's positional awareness. He has to start in different positions so he can be more effective. Just little stuff like that. I do think there's a middle ground. I don't think he'll ever fit the system the way we want him. He's just not that player. He's not got them attributes. But I do think there's a middle ground there where he could be more effective. I genuinely do. At this level, to clarify that.
That's fair. That's fair. Right, let's go to centre back now. Let's talk about Joe Rodon. How high do you think we rated him, or low for that matter?
8 or
Yeah, it's
9.
got to be high on it.
9
Sure,
probably.
Rodon.
9. Yeah.
I'll go 8.
We did go 8. We rated him 8.
Okay.
What a signing, what a loan signing, you would hope.
Yeah.
We might see on the retained list, it might already be out that Leeds United are working on a deal to sign him permanently. You could argue it probably did better than that, do you think? Did he do better than an 8?
I think you could argue so. If you look at the overall season, you look at each individual and you rank them in your head, you could argue he's one of the most... I think he had a few games after the international break was a bit off it. But apart from that, there's about 40 games where he was unbelievable. So, I don't know what you guys think, but I think you could argue he's one of... Imagine your head now he got injured, would have been in huge trouble.
Yeah.
I think he was arguably the...
Do you know what, as
one
well?
or two individuals, the most important player.
He was... Him, James and Rutter, I felt, were the only ones that really stood up in the playoff final as well, in my opinion. I know some thought Rutter was poor, but I thought he tried, and I just think Rodon...
He worked really hard,
he did. And Rodon did, he nearly scored, didn't he, when he just said, do you know what, I'm grabbing this ball by the scruff of the neck and said I'm having it. And he started to do a lot more of that. He started to be a lot more adventurous with making runs into midfield or past the midfield at times. So it almost felt like he understood a sense of responsibility. I thought towards the back end when we were struggling, I know he had a few games, but there was a few times he started to get forward more. I think we could argue that we probably increase it. I think.
I think 8 is fair, honestly, for me.
Yeah, that's
because overall, I think that before the playoffs he struggled a bit, like you said, after the international break. But overall, I think it was probably one, if not the best signing that we made this season at the beginning because of his what he brought to the team. Like you said, Joe, very good with the ball, very good with his passing, very good reader of the game. Because like in the playoff final, but did that multiple times throughout the season too. When they're blocking the middle, he reads it and progresses with the ball, try to elude the pressing. And be like an adjointed midfielder, bailing the midfielders who are blocked and encircled out. Basically, for me, it will be very, very difficult to retain him because the way he played, I think that, like I said on the videos, I think Ipswich maybe, I think Saints too. There's some clubs that will where it will fit right into the squad. In the end, Ipswich, for example, they have Burgess, Wolfendine. Tuanzebe was playing recently more at right back, but of course they need to strengthen the centre back pairing, and Rodon could be one that they take a look at for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. The Southampton thing, I get it, but with Bednarak and obviously Taylor Harwood-Bellis now being a permanent deal, you'd think, although they need
back as well.
Yeah, of course, they've got a few out on loan. The striker, what was the striker called? Who's about 9 foot odd. Do you remember him?
Oh, I know
they got
what you
from
mean.
Germany.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I forgot his name now.
Yeah,
but he's been doing well.
Onuachu.
Yeah, Onuachu, that's it. He's been
that's
doing well on loan as well, Jack was telling me. So these players could come back. Obviously, you got Alcaraz at Juve as well, who was there. So it'd be interesting to see what happens at Saints. I don't think they left like the Leeds loanees left anyway, so they'll probably be welcome back. But yeah, Ipswich is a definite shout, I think, for Rodon, and it wouldn't surprise me if they've already started to inquire maybe. Let's stay with his teammate, came from the same club. Jed Spence from Tottenham Hotspur. How high or low do you think we rated him?
8 too.
I think we went really high.
9, did you say?
Yeah. 9.
We went
9.
9. How wrong were we? I get it. I do get it when we rated him.
Been. That's the thing with Jed Spence, and that's what everyone says. Every manager he's at, you could be that. You could be that good. That's up to him.
How much difference would we rate him now, lads? Being honest, what you talking? Because I'm
you give
0. This is what I'm saying.
It caused a lot of problems for us. Didn't it?
Yeah,
losing him or losing him. We decided to cancel it because
Cost us money as well, mate. Cost us $1 million.
The money we paid. They're trying to build a squad, a back four, and a player that doesn't turn up to training. Or he's late all the time, whatever the issue was. I'm not going to get into them, but there were issues there. Clearly, we cancelled the loan. You don't do that unless there's a lot of issues. And that affected us because we had to readjust. We had to change the shape. We had to. Sam Byram had to play more minutes than he probably wanted to. Archie Gray then had to stick at right back more often. So it helped. Him going meant we didn't have as much options in midfield. We couldn't build Archie in midfield. He had to stay at right back. Sam Byram had to play more. It really frustrating because you're getting a player with so much talent. It's so sad. It really is.
How did he get on in Italy, Andrea? I don't think he's getting a permanent move there, is he?
No. You remember what I said when he signed? It'd be the end of him if he doesn't get ahead of Sabelli, who is an experienced player but a very normal player at Genoa in his position, and he didn't. So overall for this season, as well as the other season at Spurs when he moved to Rennes in January, he has only himself to blame. He has only himself to blame, not Farke, not the club, not managers, because Gilardino too didn't play him in at Genoa. He was like a rotation player, but he struggled, to adjust. And in the end, when you're not doing well off the pitch in terms of a commitment and all of that, of course, I won't mention again because we all know what we're talking about, the things that emerged, and the case closed, but we don't know what happened. And Farke even referred a little bit to that. I think if you're late to training and to club commitments and events, you have only yourself to blame, especially Leeds United when you have to be a professional and there's an established identity, and the fans expect certain values to be shared by the players. If you think you're ahead, our motto is side before self. If you try to be self before side, absolutely. You can even be Cafu or Roberto Carlos, but zero for me. But realistically, of course, if you want to stay in realistic marks, I rate him at 3 out of 10 signing right now.
Yeah, I think we've seen shades of what he could have done when he came on against Chef Wednesday in that game, if you remember, and then I think he got an injury, and then, like I say, just never was anywhere close to it. And
I saw, Joe, that I saw that he didn't start 2 games in a row in Italy.
There you go.
I saw someone in the comments saying that apparently because he can't afford his wages, he has a starting bonus. I don't know, that's rubbish, but it's not great. No consistent playing. Again, that's the same with us, wasn't it?
100%.
And that's the problem too, because about the bonuses. If they decide not to play him because of the bonuses, it's clear that they don't want to meet them. And I would say if there's some Everton fans who were listening to this, the owners of Genoa are 777 partners who have right now not met the deadline for the takeover at Everton. So, and Lucas Standalieg, that's also that specific reason for me too.
Yeah. Yet some of them think they're getting Archie Gray in the summer, which seems a bit mad. But yeah, let's let's talk about let's go into midfield. We'll talk about them both as a pair, Gruev and Kamara. Steady Eddies, what do you reckon we voted them?
Well, I know I give Gruev a 9 because I went wild and I did a wild one.
Wow, did you? I just went for the overall. Wow, that was a wild one.
I think both were 7s.
That's right, mate.
Byram was 7, I remember that,
Yeah, they both were 7. And I think they both had 7 seasons, really. I thought they were both steady Eddies. And I would argue, had one of them been a 9, for example, that might have got us over the line. Does that make sense? But because they've both just been steady Eddies, middle of the road, not really done much wrong, but not really done anything amazing, that's why we've lacked in midfield, I think.
Yeah, for me,
that's fair.
Go, Lucky.
Yeah.
No, you're right, mate. Go on.
Go. Oh, okay. No, for me, 7 is fair because in the end they did, what they could, what was in their pockets, what was in their characteristical style of football. In the end, but for me, one of the main changes that needs to happen next season, because I think if you look at Gruev and Kamara, they are system rotation players for me.
Yeah.
So honestly, we ask too much from them. or things that they couldn't do in terms of the way they play. The Falke system have always had a playmaker, a fast playmaker. Gruev is not so fast, Also in terms of decision making, he needs to have the space in front of him to read the game, to have vision, to try to read the passes in terms of short passes. Rarely does a long ball, honestly, in recent times. Kamara is a system player, He helps you when he's on a good day, a good run on form, but on a bad run on form, especially in positioning, he really struggles for the 90 minutes to be consistent for me. So the main change that needs to happen for me next season is that they don't need to be the starters for me. They have to be system rotation players. Absolutely. First name off the bench, but not the starters for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I definitely had good periods this season where them two were really good. And I think at the end of the season where I thought Kamara, I said the last 3 games, I thought he was really good. Second half, Southampton, he turned up and we looked better. The Norwich game, he played his role really well defensively. And then the second Norwich game, again, I thought he was excellent. Did his role really well. But it is that consistency, isn't it? Getting that type of performance from him every week. A lot of times he's safe and he does his job, like Andrea said, to do the job well at a minimum most weeks. I think Gruev's has struggled with the tempo at times. I think that's fair to say. Again, first season, coming from the Bundesliga, playing, a deep role by himself, kind of just sitting in front of the back four. It's difficult. So, players who I think, especially Gruev, who's limited in what he can do, but what he can do is good. It is effective if used right. Don't be over-reliant on what he can do because, like Andrea said, he's never going to be quick. He's never going to be agile. He's never going to be that guy who runs through the ball in midfield. Thinking top of my head, I've mentioned Alzate, for example, at Brighton, who's been on loan. A player like that who can play a bit more advanced, but can also sit in front of the back four as well. Someone who can do a bit of both. I think, good players. Like Andrea said, good squad players to have, good options to have, good competition.
Even in the Premier League, there'd be good options, right?
Yeah,
it's not a case of like
Kamara for me. I think he's got that physical side that the Premier League needs, and I think part of a squad is huge. You're not looking at every player bringing isn't the best or a star. They've got to be part of the squad, and I think we need to bring in a player who
X factor.
Has a little bit more in the final third. Who in a game where we are struggling can just drive with it, a bit like Archie's got, but he's still young and developing.
100%. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think Andrea's right in terms of being starting. You're looking at Ampadu starting where Gruev is, and then bringing in someone else, aren't you? Where Kamara is that can offer us more attacking threat. I think if you had a player that scored goals in Kamara's position, they'd have at least got at minimum 5 this season. Yeah. So I think that's where we lacked for sure. Right, okay. This player was bought in on a free. Sam Byram played a hell of a lot of football this season. And the last time he played this much was last time he was at Leeds United, which I find mad. Obviously spent a lot of time at different clubs in the meantime. For a free, we rated him a 7, lads.
Right.
I think
that's fair.
Because he was getting a lot of rubbish, Lockie, before and we were backing it actually, and there was a lot of people going, I can't believe you're signing this. He's a da 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 da. And I think you could argue, based on what we expected to what we actually got out of him, you could push it up even, I think.
I even think he didn't expect to play so much.
Yeah,
it's strange with Sam because we know what Sam Byram is, obviously. We know what he can do, but I think that was known from the start. It's not a player like Gruev who we've not all watched so much. We're expecting great things. We know what Sam Byram is. We know he'd come in and do a solid job, and for the most part, he did that. And he played, and he was available more than we probably expected. And that's huge because, again, when you lose Jed Spence, when Archie has to play right back, you've got Junior Firpo, whose injury record was dodgy. We needed and relied on Sam Byram a lot. And whether he was obviously never better than Archie and Firpo when they were hitting form. But he came in and he did what we needed as a squad player. He came in and did a job. It was never a huge weakness. Defensively, he's always been decent. I thought he was very good defensively this season. Going forward, obviously, he's not Junior Firpo. He's not going to have those numbers. But as a player, we bought him for a free. A true squad player that was there when you needed him for the most part. Yeah, I think there's an argument. He was really effective for us in that sense.
Yeah, I think we have to look at it from what we expected to what we got, Andrea, and I think he far exceeded a lot of us. And to be honest, when we did the retained list last night, we said he'd probably be the one that you give a new deal to while you're in the Championship, Andrea.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he deserves it. Of course, not as a starting player, but we all know that. But in a season where we'll be losing probably Cooper, Ayling, and Dallas, or of course Ayling has already signed for Borough, but Dallas is retiring. When you lose all that core, all that experience in the squad, then it becomes a very young squad. And I think Byram knows his role, knows what is expecting from him in terms of bringing the experience, transferring the Leeds United past to the present, because of course, as an academy player too, he knows how far the club has come in recent times and how far the club has fallen, of course, back into the Championship. So where he used to play when Leeds were under, of course, Bates, GFH especially, not Bates in that case, GFH and Cellino, so overall, I think he deserves a new deal. I think he's the typical 6 out of 10 player, in every game, even when you're losing 3-0 or winning 3-0, he's a 6 out of 10, he does what he's expecting from him. But 100%. If I gave a 6 to Piroe, honestly, I think Piroe overall was a 5 in terms of system, like 6 because of the goals. I think Byram should be higher, honestly, in terms of the contribution that he made, in terms of how he fitted the system, where you put him, he stays, He does whatever you put him. He's always reliable. He's not injured, because unfortunately he's a very injury-prone player, and even this season he had some knockbacks and injuries that I think blocked a little bit his contribution. That contribution could have been even greater for me. But he's a solid, mentality player. So yeah, I agree with the 7, honestly.
Yeah. Loanee now, Jaidon Anthony. Again, we rated him a 7. On the flip side to Byram, what we expected to what we got, and a lot of this is down to the manager, but we just have to look at his contribution this season and why the manager didn't pick him. I'd be looking to bring him down, if that makes sense. Because what we barely seen it. The one moment I can remember, and God rest his soul, was the game after his mum had passed, where he came on in the FA Cup and scored that curler, and you're like, yes, man. But outside of that, I don't remember much of him having a contribution at all, really.
No. Yeah, he came on against Watford and he scored. He was good in that game. The thing about Jed, and you mentioned it there, he's been through a lot. I think obviously we're rating what they did for Leeds, but there's obviously context behind it, isn't there? Like, he's been through something that is unimagiable this year, and obviously that's a process that would have gone on.
Having to move, then that happening, and all that sort of stuff.
It's hard for him, and he'll probably speak about it at the end of the year, how difficult it was this year for him. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, it's upsetting. But as a performance at Leeds, he didn't. The context behind that is there, but he didn't really perform what he wanted to, and I think a lot of that is down to, again, you look at when he came. I still think he's a really good player. And on his day was really good, but he just didn't have that day a lot. I don't think he ever really felt settled, again, with all the stuff going on, moving away from Bournemouth in literally a night.
Exactly.
Yeah, tough situations for Anthony, and he didn't perform what we wanted to. He didn't give us what he wanted to, and I think that didn't help at all, because at times we needed a player like with his quality that he does have to come off the bench and provide, but he only maybe did it 3 or 4 times at the level we expected. Definitely struggled 100%.
Andrea, do you think, because he's not getting in at Bournemouth now, Bournemouth are on a different trajectory. Yeah. They're going up. Yeah. Do you think he gets loaned again to the Championship for another club, perhaps?
Yeah, I think he should be loaned to a mid-table club, honestly, because he needs to be starting week in and week out, and that won't happen right now at a club challenging for promotion. So I think a good season for him should be try to land at a mid-table club with probably the highest ambition to get into the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah.
So if he does well starting week in and week out, with his contract, coming up at Bournemouth in the next, he could secure a permanent next to a Championship side or a promoted club in the Premier League if he has a great season. But honestly, right now, I think this was a very bad season, apart from what happened on side of the pitch, which is massive, absolutely, for a player mentality health. For a person, not player mentality health, for him just as a person, and that certainly took a toll on him. I think, and of course, talks are with him, and I think the tribute that Leeds United fans gave to him after in that Premier game, honestly, was very, very touching.
Yeah.
But if we have to look just at his player performances in terms of his career trajectory, this was a very bad season for him, honestly, because when he moved to Leeds on deadline day in that sinister year, it was not a direct one, but it was, of course, loaned out to Leeds because Leeds were looking for another winger, and
he played in the Premier League as well, Andrea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Before he moved to Leeds, he had 4 appearances in 4 games for Bournemouth in the previous 4 games. So he was a rotation player there. He was in contention. Then after that, he moved to Leeds. He was really given a chance, of course, by Farke, but I think he didn't. He struggled to adjust to that. To the fact that I have to challenge for a place here. I have to challenge Somerville and Nyonto to get into the squad, and James coming from the Premier League, it's not easy to adjust like that immediately to that. And I think he didn't fight back in terms of try to push for a place. Because when he had opportunities, he didn't perform, basically. So it didn't help him in that regard. And we all know that Farke rarely changes the starting 11. So he was, relegated to a position of like a reserve / rotation players, but very, very down on the pecking order. Because if you look at the way, at the reputation he had when he arrived, we're signing a winger that is playing in the Premier League. He played tons of games the season before, and even this season. Then he moved and he was basically frozen out, apart from various from some appearances, but in those appearances, apart from Watford and Plymouth, he rarely have an impact. So I think this was a very, very bad season for him. Honestly, 5 for me.
Yeah, like say
4 between 4 and 5. Yeah.
The even flip side to Byram probably doing more than we expected. Anthony definitely did less than we expected. Last one now, and obviously, this doesn't include any January signings. Roberts, it is what it is. But let's talk about the last one that we did rank back in August or around about that time. Ethan Ampadu. Does anyone want to take a guess at what we actually rated him?
8.
It was a big fat 9. It was the closest you can get to, him and Spence. If you imagine, if you consider him and Spence got a 9, just how different. Look, he ended the season. He ended the season our club captain. And there's a shout going into next season. He might get that on a permanent basis. So 9, he won't play at year. Does he get a 10? He was that good, I think.
There's 2 ways to look at this. So he obviously played in centre defensive midfield, and he was unbelievable there. Yeah. In every game he played, he was arguably not like a standout like the Somervilles were, but just there, solid. Not even like a 6 out of 10, like an 8 out of 10 every game, really good. And then he got dropped in the centre back, and obviously started off well there, good partnership with Rodon, but they did crumble a little bit for a certain period. But then does that mark him down, or does that mark him up because he actually has that versatility? And if he wasn't a type of player who could drop in there, we'd have been in big trouble. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a tough one, because obviously he's a better CDM, and if he'd have played in CDM all season, we'd probably be sitting here saying 10, right? Yeah. But he was good in defence for a lot of it. But I know you mentioned Andrea before, when he was in Italy, he wasn't good there. And we saw signs of that, didn't we? Near the end, we did.
Yeah, we did.
But it's a tough one, because are we judging him on that he had to go in defence because he's not a centre back, he is a CDM, or we're judging him on, the player himself? Whatever it is, for me, I think you guys might disagree. I think he was our best signing still. I do.
Oh, yeah.
He was him and Rodon for me, but he again taking that captain leadership, taking that side of it, and really when the team needed him to drop back in defence, he probably didn't like it himself. He did it for the team, and was for the most part really good there, apart from 4 or 5 games where he did struggle. What a signing though. Yeah. Regardless of what
7 million. Wow.
Yeah. I think we expected a lot, and we got that and maybe more. I was really impressed with Ampadu. What a player to have next year as well, to build around.
Yeah, definitely. Any final thoughts on Ampadu before we finish up, Andrea?
Yeah, I think if you look at the centre mid, defensive midfielder, games he played there, I think it's a 9 is fair, honestly, because he was the best player for us on the pitch, made a difference, being the only physical player that we have, basically in midfield. A player that can progress with the ball, that can read into spaces, that can break the pressing. that can give us the verticality that we badly need, the long balls through space, try to get to the wingers and the striker for the running behind. I remember a very long ball to Piroe, I think it was, in one game early in the season from there, where we were playing really bad, and it gave that long ball to Piroe, and it really, really helped to give us
as well. The Rutter one where he straight
not the
really.
Rutter one. Yeah, I'm referring to that one. Yeah, so for me, it's a 9. Of course, like I said, I think he was penalized, by the fact that we didn't have, when Stark got injured, we didn't have a backup, because our only backup was Cresswell, and of course, Charlie was not trusted by Farke to play a part this season, basically. And that's why I think our season changed a lot after Ampadu moved to the center back position, because of course he played well. So there at the start, overall I think it's a 7 when he played at center back, but we earned some advantage with him, some assurances with him when he moved to center back in terms of his versatility, pairing with Rodon, but we lost massively in midfield what we had from him. And I think the season changed a lot when he moved to the centre back, because what we needed badly, it was the only one in midfield that could give us those characteristics and skill going forward. And like I said, in Italy, he had playing in a back 4. I think at the start when we played with the Gruev dropping back, and the teams were not high pressing, with Gruev dropping back, it was like a back 3 in possession, so he had still the space to get forward a little bit more than Gruev and be near Firpo on the left and play like a midfielder and not in possession, because he was not pressed. When the team started to high press and the Gruev starting or Kamara, they did not start Gruev, basically, not Kamara. They renounced to get back, because of course it was a clear indication by Farke for me not to drop back anymore. It was like a typical back 4 then, with the 2 centre backs and the 2 full backs a little bit more forward. I think we've seen a little bit, not a little bit. We've seen the Ampadu of Italy, especially in the final game. If you look at the highlights of Spezia Verona and the relegation playoff where he played, of course he scored a goal, but on 2 goals he was at fault. He scored an own goal and he was at fault on the second one because he was higher than his position, than what his position should have been. And he did the same against Saints. So for me, he's not a centre back. He can play there because of his physicality, because of his pace in a certain way, but he needs to be our starting DM, not a centre back. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel almost like we were a victim of our own success, because had that move back to centre back not gone as well, then the club might have gone and got another centre back. But they've seen how well we played. It was almost like, we don't need to. We're going to be fine. Yeah. And, had we have replaced Strauch with just someone to come in and allowed Ampadu to go in midfield, then who knows how the season might have ended. Do you know what I mean? But it's fine margins, and that's what, people who own clubs and all that sort of stuff live and die by, don't they? So let's just hope, going into next season that we get these things right. And I think that's go on, mate. Yes,
I was just going to say on that particular, we've had a lot of 8s in this. We've had 2 or 3 5s, 4s. We just need 4 or 5 7s, don't we? Just players all season are consistently good. Maybe 1 9 as well. That 1 or 2 9s. Of course, we need more 7s, don't we? We need a few more of them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a perfect way to end this video. What we're going to be doing tomorrow, folks, we're going to be having a look at the current squad. Andrea's been in the factory, in the Byram factory, putting together some work. Just having a look at the current squad, and I won't speak anymore on it. I'll let him do the talking tomorrow. But listen, thanks always for watching. Please smash a like on the video. Make sure you check out Lockie Leeds as well, doing some great content of late, if I do say so myself, and he needs to be getting subs. It's going to be this time. So please go show your love. Big up to Andrea as always, and we'll see you in a bit, folks. Thanks. Bye.